We just spent 17 nights crossing the Pacific Ocean on Ovation of the Seas. 12 straight sea days, no stops, just open ocean. Sound boring? It wasn't. From a killer deal on a junior suite to onboard surprises, we're breaking it all down and telling you if it's worth doing before the ship completely changes.
Hey, I'm Mark.
I'm Monica.
We did this in May 2025. And by the way, later in the video, we're going to even show you some of the top deals we found on this exact same ship, some as low as $178 a day for two people in a balcony cabin. Let's give you an idea of what the Ovation of the Seas is all about. It's from Royal Caribbean. It's part of their Quantum class of ships, and there's Quantum, Anthem, Odyssey, and Spectrum of the Seas. We have sailed on Anthem, Odyssey, and now Ovation. We actually have a favorite in this class that we'll talk about. This is a pretty big ship, but it's not the biggest for Royal Caribbean. We like this size. It's about 4,000 passengers, give or take, about 170,000 tons. Yes, it's a very big ship, but it's not like the Oasis class, which is over 200,000 tons. There's some pretty cool things on board. If you're into activities such as the North Star, the iFly, if you want to skydive, it's got the amazing 270 in the back and a cool seaplex, which they have all kinds of activities on the seaplex, from bumper cars to volleyball to pickleball to a whole bunch of other things going on up there. So there's plenty of action and activity and things to do. We did a Transpacific. So we went from Tokyo to Los Angeles. This was actually 17 nights, including crossing over the international dayline. So we actually repeated a day. We also had a lot of time changes. The cost for us, just so you know up front, was about $4,800 for the 17 days. That worked out to be $285 per day for both of us in a junior suite. Originally, we were looking at a balcony. It was $2,500 for 17 nights, under $150 a day. With cruising, that's your transportation, hotel, food, entertainment. Pretty amazing. That's why these Transpacific and Transatlantics are such good deals. We are fortunate to be Diamond on Royal because we've sailed enough on Royal Caribbean. That also meant we kind of had a built-in beverage package. Each of us had 4 drinks per day. For me, that was plenty. For you?
Yeah, I think it's plenty.
We also had lounge access, laundry, and a few other nice benefits as well.
We got underway from Tokyo, from Yokohama, and we had a few stops in Japan before we headed across the Pacific Ocean. We stopped at Shimizu, which is closest to Mount Fuji. And then we went to Osaka. We had an overnight there, which was a chance to go back and do a few more things there. We love Osaka. And then after that, 12 consecutive sea days.
Let's dive into a review of the ship. We're going to give you our scores 1 to 5. Number 1 would be the ship itself. We gave it a 4 out of 5. The crew, 5 out of 5. The value, honestly, you couldn't beat it on this cruise. I'm going to be honest. Anytime we were somewhere where, let's say we're having a dinner or some food, we're like, oh, it's okay. It's pretty good. We were like, wait a minute. Remind yourself how much we paid. Suddenly we're like, oh, this is a great meal. That was pretty much the attitude the entire time. The cabin itself, we were really fortunate. I'm happy that we paid the extra money and jumped up to the junior suite. And we'll talk about why we gave it a 5. The internet, we gave a 4 out of 5. Pretty consistent across the board. It's just the speed sometimes a little bit slower than you may like, but you can stream if you pay for the better package. Entertainment, 4 out of 5. Some of our experiences, like on Odyssey of the Sea, was a 5 out of 5. We didn't love the shows on this one as much as we have on other Royal Caribbean, so we may have given it a generous 4 out of 5. Food, 3.5 out of 5. You know, Royal's really good at comfort food. So it was all really good, decent quality comfort food. It just wasn't very elevated. So if you're a foodie, it's probably not going to satisfy the itch for being a foodie. But you also have specialty restaurants, and the specialty restaurants definitely raise up the score, but you got to pay more for them. Overall, for us, for the 4.35,
the junior suite included the fact that it was roomier and we had a lot of space, tons of storage, the upgraded amenities in the bathroom, plus an in-room coffee machine.
We had 2 bathrooms. So we had a half bath as well as another full bath as well. And the full bath even had a separate shower and separate tops. So the room was well worth it. Very big, very spacious, double wide balcony as well. That was really great. Plenty of room to work and so much storage. So let's talk about the Coastal Kitchen, which is the suite only restaurant on the Ovation of the Seas and typically on Royal Caribbean when there's a suite class. So the way it works with Junior Suite is you do get access to Coastal Kitchen, but only for dinner. No breakfast, no lunch, but that's fine. We knew that going in. We knew one of our perks was Coastal Kitchen. That's part of the reason that we spend more money because we knew the suite itself would be much larger, but we also thought this would be a benefit that we could take advantage of. It would really turn into quite a challenge to actually get reservations on a regular basis in the Coastal Kitchen because later what we found out was that we kind of rank at the bottom as far as access goes. Totally fair that if you're a full suite guest, you should get, of course, breakfast, lunch, and your choice of dinner. What we didn't realize is that anybody who was Pinnacle on Royal Caribbean, which is their highest loyalty status, so Royal does give them the opportunity, even if they're staying in a regular inside cabin or ocean view or balcony, to actually have dinner at Coastal Kitchen. But it also meant that since this cruise was a crossing, you get a lot at Pinnacle, way more than average. So you also had a lot of Pinnacle people who wanted to have dinner at Coastal Kitchen. And then we also found out that we rank after casino people. So you basically had suite, Pinnacle, casino, and then us lowly junior suite people. So it really became a job every day. We had to go up, talk to the maitre d', be all smiley and nice, and try to ask, can we have a reservation, please, tonight? Half the time he would say yes, he would give us a time. Half the time he would say no and give us a time the next day. But it really kind of became a bit of a job. There were mornings where like, oh, now we need to go upstairs and see if we can get a reservation. Are they open? Is the guy going to be there? No, it's not the perk that you think it might be if you're on a sailing like this, where there's a lot of competition. The biggest frustration, I think, for us was going into the restaurant when we had a reservation, and every single time it was half full, and it remained half full the entire time. We were a little bit frustrated that we had to work so hard for the reservation, but the service was great. The food was elevated. It was better than the main dining room. It wasn't spectacular, but it was a nice perk. If you're not doing a crossing and you're in a junior suite, you could probably take better advantage of it than we were able to. What do you think about the overall dining on Ovation?
I think overall it was pretty good. We talked about it being kind of more comfort food. It was all very satisfying. We had maybe one specialty restaurant that we
I think we did two. I think we did Wonderland and we did
Wonderland's amazing. I always love it. In addition to the great food, it's just kind of a very cool, special presentation. So it's a lot of fun. Izumi, the sushi restaurant, we're always down for that, and it was really good.
We also did the steakhouse actually for lunch, and that was very good. It was a nice lunch. We had a lot of sea days, so we wanted to break it up with some special events. We did a lot of booking in advance, so I had a lot of savings. Typically, it was 40% off. The lunches were really great values. If you have a lot of sea days, Royal Caribbean is going to give you some excellent offers. They have a lot of lunches to fill with the specialty restaurants. So in particular, go ahead and look for specials on Izumi, on the steakhouse. The Italian restaurant is, so you should get about 40% off typically. There were some interesting challenges. Do you remember? Because we were so many nights and days at sea, it's not like the cruise ship can restock. It was fascinating to see how the vegetables would change. They were all good, but the type of vegetables they could put out over time, lettuce after 12 days, is a little bit different. So we were very fascinated with how they made modifications to the menu throughout the sea days.
You could tell toward the end of the cruise, they were really improvising.
Yeah.
Something you ordered earlier in the cruise and ordered it again was a little bit different the second time around, but they kind of had to make do.
Overall activities and entertainment, I think it was good. We did enjoy the silent disco. The music hall is always a great space on these quantum class ships. We did a lot of trivia. That was a lot of fun. There's a show back in 270, Spectre's Cabaret. We actually did this show back in 2015. And while we were watching, I was like, there's no way this is the same production. I was looking up in ChatGPT, and sure enough, it had mentioned specifically that multiple people have said that they've cut back. It just seemed like less people, less special effects. I think Royal was probably just saving some money. It's still an okay show, but it wasn't what I remembered. We had a show similar on Odyssey of the Seas in 270 that we felt was much better. And we did that twice this year. Same with the featured shows, The Dream and Live Love Legs. They were fine. They were definitely entertaining. I would recommend going, 40, 45 minutes, but they probably weren't up to the same level that we had on like Odyssey of the Seas a couple times over the past year.
So some thoughts about this type of cruise. 12 consecutive sea days. It's not for everybody, but we enjoyed it a lot. We never had any lack of things to do. I think Mark mentioned we had a bunch of friends that were on board. And so we did the progressive trivia like every single day for 12 days. And it was a lot of fun. And Royal has a million activities to do. The time zone shifts. It was the first time we've lost an hour every day where we would lose it in the middle of the day. Usually it's during the night when you're asleep. And they do this during the day because it's easier on the crew who get less and less sleep. They keep having to get up an hour. In the middle of the afternoon, suddenly half your day is gone, or it felt like it anyway.
By the way, we can help you personally if you are thinking about taking an ocean cruise, a river cruise. We're more than happy to help you with giving you a quote, helping you pick the perfect cruise for yourself, getting some special discounts, perks, some onboard credits. You got the link there on the screen, digitalromance.com/cruising. We booked tons of cruises already for people listening to our videos. So we're more than happy to help you as well. Just go ahead and fill that out and we'll personally get back to you. Now, we did want to compare it to Odyssey of the Seas because this was fresh in our minds. We basically, in 12 months, had 3 sailings on Quantum class ships, 2 of them on Odyssey of the Seas, 2 transatlantics, and of course this Transpacific. So we have spent a lot of time, a lot of sea days on these 2 ships. I think overall, we would say that we think Odyssey does it a little bit better. Ovation is really a great ship. It's just Odyssey is the newer version, newer generation of these Quantum class ships, and you could kind of feel it. And some of the things that we felt was missing on Ovation was like the lime and the coconut. They have Giovanni's on Odyssey instead of Jamie's on Ovation. Giovanni's is just better. You have the Playmaker Sports Bar, which you'll see a lot on Oasis class ships. That's on Odyssey. There's also a casual Mexican restaurant, like a Chipotle Light, local fresh or something like that on Odyssey. On the top deck on Ovation, it's a fish and chips place, which isn't very good. A lot of this is going to be changing. They're actually going to be doing a dry dock and starting to update and make changes to Ovation overall. The other thing we noticed was in the main dining. One really nice thing on Odyssey was this huge open, one big central main dining room. In Ovation, what they did was they split it into 2 dining rooms. They're both very themed, but it was kind of odd because the themes were like, what was
one was Asian type theme, and then
the other was like Cosmopolitan New York or something like that. But the menus are exactly the same. So on Celebrity, those of you familiar with the Edge class, they have 4 different dining rooms, but each dining room has a different theme and a slightly different menu. In this case, they didn't really lean into the differences in the dining rooms. I didn't really get it. Why have 2 totally different themed dining rooms, but it's the same menu overall? So I don't know, a little bit odd. And it's the typical Royal Caribbean menus that they made some changes to a couple of years ago. For us, we had a lot of days on Royal, so it got a little repetitive. But again, for those of you who are not doing 3 crossings in 12 months, you're not going to probably run into that quite as much. Those are just some of the differences overall. Both ships are great. All right, so let's talk about what's next for the Ovation of the Seas. So those of you thinking about possibly doing a cruise on Ovation, some big exciting things are happening and lots of dramatic changes. In late 2025, they're going to do another crossing and end up in Singapore. So you may want to think about that. The deals are awesome. At least they have been. They're going to be doing a lot of planned updates. They're going to actually add some more cabins. They're going to make some restaurant reconfigurations. We don't have all of the information yet, but I think you'll see some of what we saw in Odyssey probably will pop up on Ovation. A lot of this is setting themselves up for changing the ship and the audience that it's going to be going after, because they're going to come back in 2026 and focus on 3 to 5 night sailings from Los Angeles to Mexico, and then also operations in Alaska. And they're going to really lean into short cruise itineraries. But the most exciting thing, I think, really is going to be what comes out of the dry dock and what changes do they make to appeal towards people looking at those shorter, really packed 3, 4, 5 day type of cruises. Final verdict for us, overall, it was an exceptional value. If a value like that came up again, we would definitely do it again if we needed to have a crossing. Now, we promised you that we would show you some deals. So what we did is we put together what we saw on Ovation of the Seas were really the lowest nightlies that are available coming up really 2026 and 2027 on the ship. And remember, after this fall, 26 and 27, it's going to be the new invigorated, updated version of Ovation of the Seas. Your best bet by far is going to be Tokyo to Vancouver. So in this case, you'll be following our path, but instead of ending up in LA, you'll end up in Vancouver. And hey, if you want to do an Alaska cruise, you can do it on this ship or go on another cruise and do a back-to-back. Under $200 a day for a balcony cabin for 2 people. Pretty amazing. You can also see they've got some great deals on Alaska cruises, under $300 a day. We've got some short LA to West Coast, also from LA down into Mexico, Central America. So you got some really nice combinations of cruises here. Every single one here is under $350 a day for 2 people. So really tremendous value. Are you going to get it as low as under $150 a day? Probably not. We booked that a couple of years ago. There's been a little bit of inflation, but you can still see this is quite a bit less than a hotel room anywhere, and you get a lot for that additional price. If you're interested in any of these, of course, we gave you that link before. More than happy to give you a quote on any of these specific cruises or anything else.
And do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. We would love it if you could subscribe and watch the Top Deals video next.
And with that,
we'll see you out there.
We're going to see you out there.